Hey guys, it's Hart. Going to be breaking down this two-game NBA slate here for Wednesday night on DraftKings. You guys already know what to do. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Let's get right into it here. So we have the Heat versus the Celtics, and then the Pelicans versus OKC. As you guys can probably tell and already probably know, everyone is going to be going to the second game here and playing most of the players from the second game. It makes sense. Why? Because obviously Boston versus Miami. First game was a huge blowout. Now Miami did come back kind of in that late, midway through the fourth quarter to make it look a little bit better than it was, but it was pretty much a 30-point blowout throughout the whole thing. So obviously there's a lot of blowout risk in that game there. And then obviously Pelicans and OKC going to be way closer. And all those guys are way too cheap still for this two-game slate. So most people are going to be going to the second game slate. That's kind of the optimal way to go right now. So if you're looking to get different, looking to get contrarian, the first game would be your best option. And obviously you just got to pray to God that the game stays close. But jumping into this first game here, we'll start with Miami side here. So I want to head over here to Popcorn Machine. It's just a great little tool here that lets you kind of see who got in the game, kind of the shifts, what they played. So as you can see here, Brandon Ingram, played from the 12-minute mark to about pretty much the whole first quarter to the 57-minute mark. It gives you like how many shot attempts he went for, how many rebounds, how many assists, kind of win. But you can see then he sat out, came back in at the 7:55 mark. So it's just really helpful tool to kind of see who goes in, kind of learn their shifts. But on the right here, you can see kind of the minutes for the players. But we'll jump over to the Miami Heat one here. As you can see here, they played, was it an 8-man rotation? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Excuse me. They had, Duncan played 15, Kevin Love played 13, and then Delon Wright played 25. Same thing with Jovic. Same thing with Highsmith. And then obviously the four main starters there. Caleb Martin played 28, almost 29. Jaime, Tyler Hero, Bam all pretty much played 35 there. So as you can see, they're going to be running a pretty tight rotation there in terms of kind of the four main guys. Bam, Tyler, and Jaime. I do think we can expect kind of close to 35 minutes from each player. If it's close, maybe even closer to 40 minutes. So them at their price tags, I think looks fine. 8,000 for Bam, obviously, or excuse me, 8.2 looks for Bam looks good. Tyler Hero, 8,000. Obviously, both of them are going to be leading this offense, leading the usage. They're going to be shooting the ball a ton. 18 shot attempts in that game for Bam that last game. Only 13 for Hero, but as you can see before, 17 and 27. So those are two obviously very, very good options in terms of, one of the main factors of the offense is going to be one of those two guys. So they're solid pieces. Once again, no Rozier, no Jimmy Butler. Obviously, Jaime, 5'8", played 36 minutes, was pretty aggressive, was pretty solid out there. He looks really good. Obviously, all three of them look great. And then in terms of like the secondary guys, Martin was actually a pretty strong option, 4.8. Didn't shoot the ball a ton. You would like to see him a little bit more aggressive, as we can see here. Didn't play a ton there in the first quarter. Only played about, a little less than 6 minutes, about 5:15 actually. Sat out for a while, didn't come back until basically the 7-minute mark, halfway through the second. So, he's kind of going to be the guy right now, unless he gets it going, to be, the one getting shifted out, is that kind of that fourth option there for the team. And they're going to be throwing in guys like Highsmith. They're going to be throwing in guys like Duncan Robinson, who is back, did play 15 minutes, wasn't heavily involved, came off the bench there. So that's something to keep an eye on, because if he starts, obviously he looks good. But if he comes off the bench, I do think he could push for more minutes. They're going to need scoring from somewhere. So I don't mind Duncan as a nice, dart throw play at 3,500. Delon Wright, I think, is a fine play. He did play some more minutes just because they're getting blown out. They kind of look to the bench there. So I do say we want to pump the brakes a little bit on guys like Jovic, Highsmith, Delon Wright in terms of their minutes off the bench there. I think 15 from each would be reasonable. And the guys you'd want to take a shot on in terms of, DFS, some GPP dart throw plays. Obviously, I still think Martin's a great guy to take a shot on. Wasn't really high owned at all in that last game there. And he did play, close to 29 minutes, even though he wasn't too aggressive. Kevin Love, kind of the same thing here, 13 minutes. Didn't play a ton of minutes. Probably won't play a ton of minutes, even if, they had a fully healthy team. He's going to max out close to 20 minutes. Maybe he pushes for 22 if he's doing really well. But as you can see, he still has that upside there. If he hits some shots, he can, play make, get some boards. Definitely has the ability to go for a double-double in less than 20 minutes. So he's always a dart throw play you could go to. And then, as you said, Duncan Robinson. Those would kind of be the main three guys I'd look to take a shot on. Obviously, Delon Wright, Highsmith, and Jovic are a little bit riskier. Out of that group, I think I'd feel the safest with Highsmith, just because he's got a little bit more size compared to Jovic and Delon Wright, in terms of he's a little bit lankier, little bit quicker than a guy like Jovic, can guard, more of the guys compared to Jovic, and obviously Delon right there. So I feel a little bit safer, a little bit better of a 3-point shooter than those guys as well. So he'd kind of be that third tier, the third option in terms of like the low dart throw GPP plays. But yeah, for Miami, I mean, obviously everyone's going to be focusing on Tyler Hero, Bam, and Jaime in terms of like I'd say you want to get to at least one of these, 2 or 3 main guys. If you're going to be looking to try to get different on the slate and go to, someone on Miami, my favorite play would probably be Tyler Hero. I just think he feels the safest in terms of his upside, in terms of, assists, scoring. He's going to be aggressive. I think he'd be my favorite one if you're looking to get different. Now on the Boston side, obviously in a close game, they're going to just play a ton of minutes to Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, White, Holiday, and off the bench. I don't think we'd see a ton of minutes to a guy like Horford. He played 25 in a closer game. Unless there's foul trouble, I'd say he gets down maybe to 22-ish, 20. So at 5,000, sure, he's in play, but I don't know if I trust that enough. I'd really just stick with the main, guys for obvious reasons. And at their price tags, I do think probably Porzingis and White are the most interesting to me. They've both shown, Porzingis has kind of been like the second option at times. White has just been very, very solid in playoff games and just across the board overall. Obviously, kind of like a third or fourth option. He still does really, really well. So I think those two would be kind of the ones I'd look to in this game here at their price tags if you're looking to get to some guys on the Boston side. Obviously, Tatum looks fantastic. Everything goes through him. Brown a little bit riskier in GPPs. And then same thing with Holiday and Horford. Don't think I have a ton of interest in them, but they are there for contrarian options. And then on to the second game here. For the second game, you guys can see the popcorn machine here for the second game. I think the biggest question mark here is like what's going to happen with J-Val. Like he's done well the first 2 play-in games. 27 minutes, he went for 44, double-double. Same thing there for OKC, played 29, went for 13 and 20. But as we've seen throughout the season, he's a guy who can constantly get in foul trouble, and he's a guy who, for this game, he can go out there and play 10 to 15 minutes and get benched. Like, that is a realm of possibility, even though he's done really, really well the past 2 games. We've seen throughout the whole season. We've seen throughout last year. This is a guy who's a huge, huge candidate, probably candidate number 1 to be one of those guys who just randomly doesn't play in the second half, especially if he's doing bad. Like, he got off to a good start there that last game. That's why they kept him out there. But there's a huge, huge risk that he, could go out there and just get his minutes slashed in half, especially if he gets in foul trouble. So there's always that risk with J-Val. That's why it makes him more so just a GPP play, kind of a risky play there. So if you want to go there, you can. He's been great, but there is definitely a huge risk that he doesn't see full run, as we've seen throughout the past few years here for J-Val. With that out of the way, obviously CJ leading team at 7,500 is just way too cheap. Almost played 40 minutes, shot it 22 times. I mean, he hasn't been great so far these playoffs, but I mean, with that amount of usage, it's really hard to ignore him. Same thing with Brandon Ingram. Expect him to play even more. Expect him to be more aggressive, kind of get back into the flow of things after missing a while in terms of just being out with that injury. Hasn't played too much here. As you can see, he's kind of been scattered throughout the month of, February. Played a little bit in March, and then obviously played a little bit in April. So he's just kind of not been in the flow of things. That's why he's been a little bit off. But once again, just way too cheap at 7,400 there for him. We'll throw him in there. And then you could honestly say the same thing with Trey Murphy. I mean, the dude's playing 43, 44 minutes. It's hard not to like a guy who's playing pretty much the whole entire game. So really, really like all 3 main guys. I mean, it's no secrets. They all look great on the Pelicans side. In terms of secondary options, I think Herb Jones is a fine pivot play. Obviously, if you want to get off of a guy like Trey Murphy, who's going to have way more ownership, Herb Jones is one of your guys. Obviously not as good defensively, not as good offensively, but obviously a little bit better defensively. Just comes down to, can he hit his threes? If he can have a really good game there at 5.1. And then Larry Nance, obviously, if you're going to fade J-Val, I think it makes sense to take a shot on Larry Nance. He's the one who's directly replacing him. Played 19 minutes. One of those guys who is a decent point per minute guy. Has kind of turned on a little bit here recently. But yeah, I mean, if J-Val is going to get his minutes slashed, they're going to be going to Larry Nance, and he can push for, as you can see, close to 30 minutes. He'd be a pretty strong play there at 4.7. And that's it. Like, as you can see here, Alvarado and Najee Marshall, pretty much the only 2 that played there off the bench for them. 19 for Alvarado, 15 for Najee Marshall. I'd kind of expect similar minutes from both of them. I mean, they're fine dart throw plays. Like, Jose Alvarado, with all the good guard plays on the slate, it's hard to get to him unless you're trying to be very contrarian. But he could have a game where he, pushes for mid 20 fantasy points if he's hitting a couple of shots, getting a couple of rebounds. I think I'd rather take a shot on Najee, small forward, power forward eligible. One of those guys who is pretty productive when he's out there, as you can see, and he's kind of shown it throughout the whole season. Definitely risky, but still 3.8, power forward, small forward eligible. I think if you're looking, you're trying to stuff in as many, stars as you can. Najee's definitely a good salary relief guy that, offers some good upside. And then moving on to the OKC side here. With them, they're obviously going to play SGA and Jalen Williams, the two main guards there, pretty much close to 40 minutes, if not more. Those two are the safe ones. Chet is kind of in that second tier in terms of still not seeing, the best minutes out of him. Only played 32, was not really in foul trouble at all. Didn't even have a foul, but still only played 32 minutes. You'd like to see more from that. Obviously, a little bit of a mismatch going against J-Val, but I think Chet's one of those guys who could definitely push for 35, maybe closer to 40 minutes if he does really well. Started off slow there, but did pick it up in that second half. Obviously, he's a double-double candidate. Gets a ton of blocks, so 6.9 for him looks like a pretty strong price tag. Obviously, you love all three of them in terms of SGA, Jalen Williams, and Chet. Once again, I think you want to get to at least, I'd say, two guys from each team in terms of the Pelicans and OKC in terms of their main stars. So for the Pelicans, you're going to want to get to, say, at least two of CJ, Brandon Ingram, and then obviously Trey Murphy. On the flip side, OKC, you're going to want to get to at least SGA, Chet, or Jalen Williams. Obviously, it makes it easier to get to Jalen Williams because he's cheaper than Chet, and I do think they'll draw most of the ownership to him over Chet, which makes sense, but still, Chet could be a strong pivot play off of Jalen Williams, even though they're different positions just in terms of ownership. But those are the three main guys. You want to get to two of them. So obviously four, of the main guys from this game here. And then if you were looking to get different, you could throw in Derek White, you could throw in Tyler Hero, and then you can just plug in some value guys. But moving on to the rest of this team here, Josh Giddey, as you can see here, only played 19 minutes. Started the first quarter there, played a little bit at the start of the second, and then didn't see him until the start of the third, and then didn't really play much there into the last part of the game. So obviously one of those guys who's definitely very risky at 5.9. Now, if he gets off to a hot start there, sure, he can have a solid game. But 5.9, his minutes are kind of getting slashed. Really hard to trust those minutes. Don't have much in him at all. I think he's an extremely risky play that you don't really need to go to. Dort, one of those guys who's going to be playing a ton just because of his defense. He did really well on Brandon Ingram in that last game. Wouldn't be surprised if we see, another 35 to 40 minutes from him. Now, he's one of those guys who's not going to be great offensively. Could hit some threes. So it's definitely risky getting him at 4.5. It's not the best price tag for a guy you want to take a dart throw on. But it's one of those things where you're getting the minutes. So it's like, as you guys saw with Jaden McDaniels tonight, the whole season, he's just been a brutal point per minute guy. Playing a ton of minutes, kind of the same, similar price tag to Lou Dortz. But tonight, he's 50% owned, and he had his best offensive game of the season. I think he's a leading scorer, pretty much won them the game tonight. So that could be, I don't think Lou Dort has that in him, especially with SGA there, especially with Jalen Williams. But Lou Dort could have a pretty solid game, go for like 15 points. You never know. So at 4.5, I do think he's a pretty strong play there in that price range. Now, in terms of like the value guys for OKC, Isaiah and Joe, Cason Wallace, and Aaron are the guys who all kind of saw 15 to 18 minutes. If you wanted to take shots of them, you could. I don't love it. 3,600 for Isaiah Joe, pretty much three and D, or pretty much just, I'd say 3 is why he's out there to hit threes. It's hard to trust him. Same with Cason Wallace, only out there for defense, to spell guys defensively. And then Gordon Hayward, not going to see a ton of minutes there. Kendrick Williams, I think he'd probably be my favorite just because he could have a solid game, but it's really hard to trust the OKC value as we saw all throughout the season. I don't think they're my favorite value to target. I'd rather target guys on the Pelicans in terms of Jose, Najee Marshall, or go to Miami and go to some of these cheaper guys, maybe taking a shot in Love, Duncan Robinson, things of that nature. I just think OKC is just way too top heavy in terms of their offense. It's going to be going through SGA, it's going to be going through Jalen Williams, and they could possibly have Chet kind of be that third option there. It just, you're looking for a huge start throw if you're looking to these other guys. So that is a slate breakdown. Once again, everyone's going to be stacking the second game. If you want to get different, the first game is, there's some great options there in terms of Hero, Bam, obviously on the Boston side, Tatum, Porzingis, White, Brown. So that is the breakdown for you guys. Hopefully, that helped a little bit. But yeah, I do think I'm going to be targeting kind of the four main guys from the second game and then trying to get different with the first game here. And hopefully that works out and it stays close enough for them to have at least, solid games there from the stars in that first game. So hope you guys like the video. Hit that like button. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.